Welcome to the Suited Up for Impact Telesummit 2018. I'm your host, Miss Nina B. Abdul Wakil, and let me share with you how the Suited Up for Impact Telesummit came to be about. I was meditating with the Lord and communicating, and He said to me, you know, there have been many telesummits that I've been exposed to, but one of the things that I was seeing a deficit was the male speakers as a part of those telesummits. And I personally value the voice of my brothers. I value what the strong men bring to the table. And one of the things is, I'm gonna be honest, I was happened to be in Starbucks and I saw a brother dressed up in a suit, and there is just something about seeing a man in a suit. They don't have a suit on for no reason. It's usually about they are up to something. There is a purpose. There is something, a destination, a mission they are up to. And so there's something powerful to see a man suited up. And suited up is not just about the external, but internal as well. God's word talks about the armor of God. And so if you've seen the promotions for this telesummit, it shows the armor, because the armor is not just the external, but it's the internal of what God calls us to put on in order to impact our world. So this suited up for Impact Telesummit is all about suiting up not just men, but women as well to impact our world, taking on bravery, confidence, determination, purpose to impact our world. That's what Suited Up is all about. Tonight, we have three phenomenal speakers joining us to talk to you tonight about, hey, welcome Markeith. He's one of our speakers. He's going to be joining us this evening. And so the first speaker we have is going to be Mr. Arian Tyson. Arian is a motivational speaker, and I'm just going to highlight him for you so that you can focus in on him. He is an author. He's, I believe, a new author. He has a new book, Motivation to Elevation, Love Me or Hate Me. Hey, his journey. There it is, right there in his hand. And he's also a certified life coach. He is a man on a mission to help others in the face punch their fears in the face. Wow, that's serious. He's born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. He recently published his autobiography. His passion is speaking life into others, not only by encouraging them to be all they can be, to be all they should be. Welcome to the floor, Mr. Arian Tyson. How are you this evening?
I am doing fantastic. I am excited. I'm honored to be on the panel, sharing this panel with you and these awesome men. I'm just ready to rock and roll, and I'm letting you all know now because I've been given the choice to set it off. So if you're not ready, you need to get ready. But if you're already ready, then that's good because if you stay ready, you won't have to get ready.
Wow, that's if you stay ready, you won't have to get ready. That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us, one of the things when we talked about this telesummit, your topic says what get the world to respect your greatness. What does that mean?
Okay. Well, first off, good evening, everyone who has hopped on tonight for this awesome telesummit that I'm honored to be a part of. When I say make the world respect your greatness, I think about a conversation that I had with one of my mentors who I was fortunate to meet last year. You may have heard of him. His name is Les Brown. I had a chance to meet Les Brown in March of last year. He was actually in my hometown of St. Louis, where I'm at now. And I will never forget that conversation because I have three mentors, and he was the one mentor that I had yet to meet. And because he is connected to me on a personal level, which if I have time, I'll explain how. And I actually talk about it in my book, how he's connected to me on a personal level. When I met him, I went up to him and I told him, I'm so honored to finally meet you. And then do you know what he said to me? He said, I'm honored to be standing next to greatness. So for me, a young man from St. Louis who was diagnosed with lead poisoning at an early age, who was told that I was not going to amount to anything, to have someone of his caliber, someone who is universally recognized as one of the greatest motivational speakers ever, to tell me that I'm great. When that happened that day, I felt like I was on top of the world. I felt like you couldn't tell me nothing. And with that, it got me to realize that all of us have greatness inside of us. The problem is, many times because of the circumstances of life, many times because of things that happen to us, whether it's blatant or whether it's indirectly, the reality is, if you don't have someone around you that is going to encourage you to help you elevate, to get to the next level, you will never tap into your greatness. And we live in a society right now that is settling for mediocrity. Let's be clear about this. They're settling for mediocrity. Where average is the status quo. But see, where I come from, I learned to become allergic to average. I have become allergic to average. Average is not enough. And we call ourselves in the U.S., we're supposed to be the greatest country in the world. But I would challenge that, because are we living up to our greatness? Look at your own life. Are you living up to your greatness? Are you operating in it? So when you think about it, it comes to a point where there's a process that you have to go through. And for me, it went from being from motivation to elevation. But there's a big component in between where I break it down as an acronym. It takes grit, Grit, to go from motivation to elevation. And that G obviously is greatness. It takes you tapping into your greatness and recognizing your greatness, regardless to where you come from, regardless to whether you was born with a silver spoon in your mouth or whether you came from the ghetto or the projects. It does not matter, because you have an assignment. You have a purpose. And there are people that need to hear your voice. Don't you realize that death and life is in the power of the tongue? And I'm not just talking from a spiritual standpoint. I'm talking from a realistic standpoint, because you have to be careful the words that you say. You have to be careful of the thoughts that you entertain and people that you allow into your inner space. And because energy is infectious, whether it's positive or negative. And when you are around positive energy, when you are around people that are going to the next level, who are being successful, who are going to higher heights and deeper depths, by default, if you're paying attention, by default, some of that is going to rub off on you. And I've heard it said like this: if you are hanging around 5 broke people, you're destined to be number 6. Well, let me flip that. If you are hanging around 5 great people, by default, you are on course to become the 6th great person. That's why you have to mind your circle. That's why you have to realize that some conversations you can't have with everybody. You can't tell your goals. You can't tell your dreams to everybody. You can't have everyone praying over you, because some people are praying for you, but then those same people are praying on your downfall. So you have to be careful about that. You have to be careful where you put your energy at, because energy is infectious. Energy is neither lost nor destroyed. It is merely transformed from one person or one party to the next. So you have to guard your energy. You have to guard who you allow in your mind, because everything starts in the battlefield of the mind. You have to tell yourself, you have to speak over yourself, and you have to encourage yourself. Yes, I am great. Yes, I've been hurt. Yes, people have walked away from me. Yes, I've been betrayed, but that does not take away from my greatness. And when you realize this, and I'm just giving you a piece of it, when you realize that you are great, you're able to tell your story. Let me give you my personal definition of greatness. And I even outline it in my book. Greatness is the ability to authentically walk in your truth, regardless of shortcomings, recognizing that setbacks are inevitable, realizing that the price of achieving it is responsibilities. I'm going to say it again. Greatness is the ability to authentically walk in your truth, regardless of shortcomings, recognizing that setbacks are inevitable, but realizing that the price of achieving it is responsibility. Think about the people in your life. How many people do you know that don't accept responsibility for anything? Because here's the caveat. No one, no matter what you go through in life, you're not 100% blameless. No one is 100% blameless in anything. And if you think that you are, I regret to inform you, you're not 100% blameless. Even in that relationship that went bad, even in that business that didn't take off like you wanted it to, you're not 100% blameless. And I know I stepped on some toes, but that's okay, because I want you to be better. That's why you're here. So it's not by mere happenstance that you're on this telesummit tonight. So I got to be real with you. I have to be 100 with you, because that's how it was given to me. That's how it was taught to me. You have to realize that your greatness is within your story. It's within everything that you have gone through. Yes, it's easy to talk about the good things, but it's in those things that you don't want to talk about. It's in those things that if you told somebody, they may look at you differently. It's in those circumstances and in those moments where you feel some sense of shame, or if you told someone, they would try to make you feel ashamed. But let me tell you this, and I'm speaking from personal experience. I'm not telling you what I learned in a book. I'm not telling you what I learned in college. I'm telling you what I've learned over the last 6 years of my life. And that is this. When you get to the place and space where you can talk about all of it, when you can talk about everything that you've gone through, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you realize that you are tapping into your greatness. And here's why. Because especially with the advent of social media, people become easy when it comes to painting themselves as perfect. Like they have it all together. Like they have no faults. I mean, have you ever seen someone take a picture and they put all these different filters on, but then when you meet them in person, they don't look anything like the picture that they put on social media? And I know I'm not the only person that has encountered that. But the thing about it is you're able to talk about your scars. And when you're able to talk about what you've gone through and realize that you have not gone through what you've gone through simply to go through what you've gone through. What you've gone through is meant for somebody else. It's meant to be a blessing to someone else. When you start tapping into your greatness, that's when you begin to pay it forward. That's when you begin to tell your story. That's when you begin to walk in your truth. So let me break down. I mentioned grit, because grit, you have to have grit in order to go from motivation to elevation. And you have to have grit when it comes to making the world respect your greatness. Grit is an acronym. The G stands for greatness, okay? The R stands for resiliency. The I stands for initiative. And then the T, finally, the T stands for teamwork. So let me break this down. Like I mentioned when I started, like my mentor Les Brown taught me, you have greatness within you, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to achieve greatness, stop asking for attention. Stop asking for permission. You do not need any permission to step into and walk into your greatness, to operate in it. Why? Because your audience is waiting. Don't you know that you have people that are assigned to you, that you're assigned to? That there are people that Miss Nina is assigned to, that when she opens her mouth and when she tells her story is going to resonate with them more than my story would, or more than the other speakers that are coming behind me can resonate with them. We all have an assignment. We all have a purpose, and there are people that we are specifically assigned to, and we only learn who we are assigned to when we decide to open our mouth, when we decide to get out of our own way. You don't know what I went through to get on this telesummit. You have no idea how the enemy was trying to get busy. But the thing is, this is a time and a moment that God has ordained. And so nothing was going to stop it from happening. He tried, but the enemy tried, but he failed again. And so we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be on this panel, to be on this telesummit tonight. And we have an obligation. We are required by God to give our very best, to be as raw, as transparent, as authentic as possible, because greatness requires that. And not only that, it requires resiliency. All of us have been knocked down, and it takes a breakdown to appreciate a breakthrough. Sometimes it takes an unbelievable breakdown to appreciate an undeniable breakthrough. Sometimes it's necessary. And in order for you to get to the breakthrough after the breakdown, you got to be resilient. You have to exercise resiliency, ladies and gentlemen. This is not for the weak at heart. This is not playtime. Playtime is over. This is serious business. And because your purpose, your legacy depends on it, you have to hunger out after it. The Bible says, not to even be preaching to you, but the Bible says, blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness. The promise is, for they shall be filled. You have to hunger after it. You have to hunger after those who you have been assigned to not only help them be all that they can be, but be all that they should be. And by default, because of the fact that you have poured into people, because of the fact that you have invested time, energy, and maybe even money into people, we say it all the time. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. So with that, you have to understand that everything that you pour out, all the seeds that you planted in due season, they're going to come back to you tenfold, 100-fold. But if you're not planting any seeds, you cannot expect a harvest. Don't expect a harvest. And if you're expecting a harvest and you know you haven't planted any seeds, you're kidding yourself. You have set yourself up to be a fool, because old fools was once new fools. Think about that. So not only that, you have to have the resiliency, but not only that, you have to take the initiative. You can't wait for stuff to just happen. You got to become proactive. And we live in a society where we want everything to come to us. We want to be reactive, and we don't make a move until life punches us in the mouth, until stuff hit home. Now, I'm from St. Louis, born and raised. Now, a lot of stuff has happened in my city over the last several years, from the murder of Mike Brown to the cop that got off recently for killing Anthony Smith. A lot of things, and there's been a lot of tension in my city. I can't be one of those people that sits up and turns a blind eye to it, but then feels like, oh, things are getting out of hand when it hits my front doorstep. No, you have to become proactive. You have to become proactive with what you want and what you desire. Because if it's God's will, He's going to grant you the desires of your heart. The word says so. And I'll put it like this. And if you don't remember anything I've said tonight, remember this. Behind our feelings is nothing, but behind every principle is a promise. I'm going to say it again. Behind our feelings is nothing, but behind every principle is a promise. And there are too many people that are walking around. They're not even living. They're really existing. They're existing, and they have no drive, no ambition. They're reactive. They love to play the blame game. They love to be the victim. And the fact is, they're going to look up, and time is going to go by them. 5 years, 10 years is going to go by, and they're going to look up. If they're blessed to see it, they're going to look up, and they're going to realize they're in the same place. Where in order for you to have change, in order for you to turn things around in 2018, because I actually did a podcast last night, and the topic was how to turn things around in 2018. In order for you to do that, you got to do some things differently. And that's going to require you taking initiative, taking ownership of where you are, because your best thinking has you where you are right now. Your best thinking, where you are, is a combination of the thoughts, the actions, and the words that you have done, that you have executed, or the things that you said that you were going to do that you still have not moved on. And so, and last I checked, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So if you want your situation to change, if you want to go to the next level and get closer to victory road, you're going to have to do some things differently in 2018. And that's going to require you to recognize your greatness. That's going to require you to be resilient. That's going to require you to take more initiative. But then finally, you have to realize that no man is an island. It takes teamwork. You got to have teamwork. What we're doing right now, that's teamwork. We're feeding off each other. And so because they gave me the ball first, I gotta set the ball. I gotta set it off, so that when I pass the baton, they can take it to another level. You have to realize that. I saw a quote today. I was at the bank today, and I saw a quote, and it said something like this. It says, "When you run alone, you run fast. But when you run together, you run farther." When you have a team, when you have a team in place, when you are surrounded by like-minded individuals who are on the same wavelength, who want the same things out of life, who are giving off the same energy, your mind will be blown to what you can do. I'm going to give you a prime example. Miss Nina mentioned that I'm a new author, and she's absolutely correct. I wrote my book, Love Me or Hate Me, My Journey from Motivation to Elevation, in 50 days. I wrote it in 50 days. What is so significant about that? It took me 18 years to finally have the courage to sit down and say, I'm going to write this book, because the world is waiting on it. I was scared to write the book. Why? Because I didn't think that people were going to like it. How am I going to know if people like it or don't like it if I don't write the book? It took me 18 years to realize this. Do you know what would have happened had I wrote this book 18 years ago? But here's how it's God's timing. Here's how God's timing is always perfect. Because I went through things, certain things that I know is going to be a blessing to someone else, because each one of us on this panel has a following. There are people that look up to us. There are people that admire us. And the way that Miss Nina found me, she found me from YouTube. She found me from one of my videos. Do you realize that, believe it or not, and this is probably going to make you laugh, believe this or not, I'm actually a very quiet individual. I am actually an introvert, believe it or not. If you had known me prior to 2013, when I shot my very first video, and over 1,000 videos later, ask anybody that knew me prior to that, they will tell you, we couldn't get him to talk. It was like pulling teeth. I was accused of being antisocial by members of my own family, but I always listened. So I listened to those things that were said to me. I listened to what those doctors told me when they said that I may have ended up mentally retarded. That's one of the reasons why Les Brown's story resonates with me so much, because he was told the same thing. But look at him now. He's world renowned, universally recognized as one of the top 5 speakers ever, without question. But the thing about it is, you have a choice tonight and going forward. You can either listen to what people have said and listen to people's criticism, or you can allow it to motivate you and fuel your fire. And believe it or not, when I finally made the decision to sit down and start writing, I started writing a chapter a week. Then I started writing a chapter every 3 days. And 50 days later, I was able to give this book to my mother, present it to my queen, my mother, 2 weeks ago. And it brought tears to her eyes, because when I didn't think I could do it, I made the decision that, you know what, this is bigger than me. That's how you start tapping into greatness, to bring this all home. That's how you start tapping into your greatness. When you're able to talk about what you've gone through, and not just talk about all the stuff that make you look good, but you talk about the things that will cause people to maybe raise their eyebrows at you.
Exactly.
Or maybe say, wow. That's what is going to happen. That's when you really realize that you're powerful beyond measure.
Arian, you have said some amazing things tonight, and I thank you. I thank you. I just want to, one of the things I want to go back to really quickly is grit. I think I'm a big, I love acronyms because they stick with us. They give us some easy ways to remember some powerful things. So grit is greatness, resiliency, initiative, and teamwork. So you've got to own your greatness. You've got to take the initiative, be proactive. Don't wait for life to come to you. You go after it. You have to be resilient because things will happen. Things will knock you down. But that builds up your story. That builds up your character. And then teamwork. You can't do this alone. You're there to impact other people. You need to work and partner with people to impact people. Thank you so much. Wow. I mean, you just dropped, I call them these big nuggets of wisdom. I thank you so much. I think it has been a powerful start to this Suited Up for Impact Telesummit. So before we transition to the next speaker, just tell everybody how they can reach you, what your social media handles are, and how they can get your book.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for reaching out to me, for believing in me to be able to fulfill this task. It has been a pleasure. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. You can reach out to me. Just type my name in. I have a very uncommon name. So you can reach out to me at Arian Tyson, ArianTyson. And you can follow me on my fan page. It's at Arian L. Tyson, the movie motivator. I didn't mention that, but my nickname is the movie motivator, and it was given to me by a former business partner because when I mentioned about videos, I started shooting motivational videos in my car. And I'm quite sure that it was one of those videos that I shot in my car that allowed this connection to happen.
Yes.
And then not only that, I'm on Instagram I'm on Twitter, but most importantly, if you want to own a copy of my brand new book, because literally it's not even a month old, you can order it on my website at www.lovemeorhateme.org. Again, that's www.lovemeorhateme.org. And then if you order it, let me know that you were on the telesummit tonight, and I will personally sign it and leave you a personal message. And I'm not going to give you just some generic message. No, I'm going to say something from the heart. And my prayer is that it resonates you to not only, if you have taken action, go farther. If you haven't taken action, that it will cause you to start taking action, because time is our most precious commodity, and you have to make every second count.
Thank you, Arian. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody hear that? Take advantage of the offer to get his book, www.lovemeorhateme.org, and let him know that you saw him on the telesummit, and he'll sign it and give you a personal message. All right now. Wow, I'm just already, kind of blown away. So we're going to shift right now to our next speaker.